Can everybody hear me okay? I never see it. Test 1, 2. Now can everybody hear me? I don't like to yell at everybody. I don't want you to feel like you're being yelled at tonight. We're good? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Good evening to everybody, and thank you guys all so much for being here. I love that it's more of a family, friends event. This is kind of what it is about. And so your presence here in the room to support Steve and help us kick this off just sends a great message to all of us out here. It's not just about a campaign launch. It says that we all are here because we care about the future of Park County. Part of the reason that I moved back here. I'm a fifth generation as well, so it's fun to be amongst more fifth generations and have, a grandson now too. So building this legacy and protecting what we have left here in Park County is very near and dear to me. And I was fortunate enough to bring my husband up here, and he's going to be helping with all of this as well. So if you don't know who I am, I apologize. I was going to introduce myself. I'm Kelly Bonnell. And I, born and raised here for many years, and my dad has owned multiple businesses when he was alive here, so that was fun. We see Park County growing and changing, and the role of sheriff being more and more important every single day. And so we want to have someone out there that can help protect us and guide us and know that we can depend on him. And we've recently, I feel like, have had a lot of things going on in Park County that we won't discuss tonight, obviously, but we definitely need some better law enforcement of things going on here. It's not the Park County that I grew up in, I can tell you that. So Steve Voss, I think, is going to be amazing. He doesn't seek the spotlight. This is kind of hard for him, but he has spent his life in service, and that's what this role is all about for him. Not only as a Marine, but over 22 years as an undersheriff already here, and he understands the responsibility. We've already had some amazing testimonies from some people that we've been talking to, and if anybody wants to give a testimony before you leave tonight, Jesse would love to capture that. So probably you might have to go to a different room where it's not quite so noisy, but we would love to get your testimonies so we can use them on the video tonight too. So this is going to be how we win Park County. I don't know if anybody knows. Jesse's going to share a little bit after Steve speaks, but what he's already done, we've gotten over 5,000 views,
7,000.
over 7,000 on his campaign stuff already. So I'll just share a little bit about that. But we're going to build something super strong tonight, and every sign that you put up matters. So if you want to sign up over here, we've got sheets for you to say, hey, I'll volunteer, I'll grab a sign or whatnot. Every conversation you have out there regarding Steve, it matters. So you guys are our boots on the ground. It's going to be a grassroots campaign. So just remember that is part of our goal here, is you guys are the breath that's breathing out there for Steve when he's not there. And if we have other events, which we will be having lots of events, so stay tuned. We'll keep everybody informed. Again, if you sign up, we'll make sure you're on a list so you get a text or an email. And so we'll keep you guys informed on things like that. So just remember that as we are going to actually, at the end, we'll be passing the hat. We'll talk a little bit more about that after that. But I want to bring up Jim, because Jim, I feel like, deserves the honor more than anybody to introduce Steve. So, Jim, I'll let you take over and introduce your Steve. First, you know how to use it.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, needed mic. As you said, I'm Steve's son-in-law. Steve, I'm getting way ahead. He's my son-in-law. You're going to hear a rare bragging about a son-in-law. I just felt it was important. I wanted to tell you about how Steve and I first met. I was the first one to meet Steve in our family, and we were having troubles with the north side ditch up there as usual. And so we called for a deputy sheriff, and they said, well, he's up there guarding the road because there was forest fires and everything up there. And so me and I think it was Randy Penton, we went up there and met with him. And I didn't know Steve from anybody. But I noticed he looked kind of pale and stuff, and big tall guy, and guarding the road. And I come find out that he was busy. Not only he was on the Missouri River Task Force, in the nighttime and guarding the road at the day, which just goes to show you the dedication he has. And the one thing I really like to express is the honor that he lived his life with as a Marine. So anyhow, he went up there and we looked at the problem, we explained what was going on, and he caught on to it right off. He could see exactly what was happening. I was amazed, because most people we brought up there couldn't tell what was going on at all, and he grasped it just like that. And I remember going home and telling this, you know, that guy's sharp. He can see what the problem is, kind of got an idea what to do with it. I had no idea he was from Connecticut. I thought he'd probably a ranch kid or something from around here. Well, to make a long story even longer, about a week later or so, Laura was out delivering hay. And so she scraped one of these telephone scraper things, or telephone things, and she called me up and she said, "What should I do?" She said, "I didn't really do any damage." And I thought about it. I said, "Well, you can either run, and they'll probably never catch you, but just call law enforcement and just let them know. I think we'll be safe that way." And she says, "Okay." She said, "I'll call." Guess who shows up? And she said, "Oh yeah, there's this deputy showed up and looked at everything." And I said, "Who was it?" She said, "Steve." I said, "Steve." I said, "Steve Boss?" I said, yeah, that's it." So anyhow, that's how they met. But the thing that every time I had a dealing with Steve, it was honor. And when he came to ask for Laura's hand in marriage, he came and asked Betsy and I. Yeah, excuse me. I just appreciate the honor this man had. I think there's no better sheriff we can have anywhere. And I just praying that he makes it great and does this. This thing isn't easy. He's taking a pay cut. And I had no idea what a campaign was like, and oh brother. But fortunately, the Lord blessed us with Jesse and Kelly coming here just about the time he decided, and their experience with that. If it wasn't, like I said, I'd just stand where I'm told. Anyhow, I wanted to say that he's got the honor, the dedication, and the work ethic, and some fresh ideas that he can take and make that sheriff's department run like a Swiss watch. And it's the other thing I believe that it cuts that chain, because something we've had all during the years. I don't remember when we've ever had a sheriff from Park County, but every time you got a sheriff in there, they decide they're going to retire, whatever they do. They appoint their undersheriff there, and he gets on the ballot, and he usually wins. And this chain hasn't been cut for 20 years. And Steve, as far as I know, doesn't have anything radical. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's going to cut that chain. So we got a whole fresh look on law enforcement in Park County, and we need it. I think we're stable. So anyhow, that's all I got to say, and thank you very much for your patience and everything. Kellen, you ready?
Yeah, sure. I need to obviously get more steps in. So I just want to, encourage you tonight. We're going to let Steve talk a little bit about what some of his goals and aspirations are and how we can support him. And then if you guys want to go ahead and ask him questions or things that you feel that he might encounter, throughout the campaign, so that we can head those things out, that'll be great. So without further ado, our next sheriff of Park County, Steve Boss.
Hello everyone, thank you. It's kind of hard to follow Jim. Jim, thank you. I guess I'll follow it up with doing my favorite thing, which is talking about myself. No, I spent a lot of years at the sheriff's office, and service to me is really about helping people and doing things for people. And I never looked at it about myself. So I actually do at times feel rather uncomfortable trying to promote myself, because that's not what the job is, and that's not what taking care of people is. I will tell you a little bit about myself. So I was 19 years old, and I raised my right hand and I swore an oath to serve, protect, and defend the Constitution in this country. And I signed my paperwork and enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I was in the infantry. I was a marksmanship instructor. I became an NCO. I got a couple of medals. I sailed around the world, and I was always very, very proud of my service to this country. But I knew it really kind of laid out something greater as a path forward in life. I'm trying to, this always comes to mind when I'm talking about the Marine Corps. A quote by Ronald Reagan, and he said, "Some people spend their entire lives wondering if they made a difference. The Marines don't have that problem." And when I think about that quote, I kind of think, well, as a Marine, maybe I made a difference, but the drive as a Marine really made me think, I don't ever want to stop trying to make a difference. I served 22 years with Park County Sheriff's Office. Pretty proud of that. Did a lot of different things. I started out as a detention officer for a year and a half. And then I raised my right hand again, and I took the oath and started my career as a sworn law enforcement officer. I served as a patrol deputy. Then I was a detective assigned to the Missouri River Drug Task Force. As a detective, I worked with a lot of confidential informants to get narcotics off the streets. I even did a couple of bits as a undercover and bought drugs undercover. I went back to patrol. I got promoted to corporal, eventually getting promoted to sergeant. Worked as the night shift supervisor for many, many years. Nights is where you make your money. And I've 12 years, I think, of my service. I was a field training officer, training new deputies out on the street. And I was also a firearms instructor with our department. And I served for a short time as the search and rescue commander, and for a very short time as our reserve deputy program coordinator. I was awarded a law enforcement medal of merit, and I hold 5 post-state certificates in law enforcement. All that, I guess, I can look at that and say, yeah, I'm qualified, I'm experienced, I have knowledge. I know I can run the sheriff's office, but it takes a little bit more than that. And when I heard a couple weeks ago that our sheriff, Brad Bickler, was resigning, I realized there was an opening spot and a need for a leader. And I believed I could step up and run the sheriff's office and do a good job for Park County. Now, I think we have a great sheriff's office. I believe that we have a good corps of deputies. And so when I talk about what I want to do with the sheriff's office, I'm not talking about taking a wrecking ball. I'm not talking about people or a sheriff's office that's not working well. I'm talking about taking what we have and not being satisfied with that because it's public safety. It's your public safety. You can't take it for granted. You can't say, well, it's good enough. And I never looked at it that way for 22 years doing that, and I still don't to this day. I'm retired. 3 years ago, I retired, and I thought I was done with all that. And that nagging of we're never done helping people, we're never done doing our best for our community, it's just a hard thing to shake. So I'm gonna say this to be positive. We're gonna win. We're gonna get into the sheriff's office, and we're gonna do a few things that make it a better sheriff's office. Now, I think in every election and campaign, especially for sheriff, it's pretty easy to talk about we're gonna patrol more, and that sounds pretty standard, but the reality is patrol is the backbone of law enforcement, and we need to be more than a reactive sheriff's office. We need to be a proactive sheriff's office. And so I want to bring back that proactivity, and I'll explain with some of the other things I want to focus on. They'll actually add and work with that to make us a more proactive sheriff's office. But it's important for a couple of reasons. The obvious is proactivity deters crime, and it does. Proactivity shortens in response times to emergencies, and it does. But it also gets out and reaches out to community members. When the deputy's just on patrol and he's not going to a call, he's meeting with people in the public, he's finding out some of the concerns, he's meeting with people to figure out where some crime might be happening that we're not aware of. But it also does another thing, that is finding people to help that wouldn't normally call for help. And that's something I think, even in law enforcement, you overlook. You sit back and you wait for somebody to call for help, and the easy part's to go run to it. At least for us, it's easy to do. There are a lot of people out there that need a lot of help in a lot of different ways, the public safety things outside of even criminal activity. And they're afraid to ask for help, or they may be too proud to ask for help, or they don't really know where to go for help. And those are the people that we can reach by being out in the streets more.
Amen.
So another thing I want to focus on is, which I think is good for anyone that wants to run an office, especially a public office, is some fiscal responsibility, and in particular writing grants. Now we do that in the sheriff's office. There are some grants we used to write that we're not writing currently. There are some grants that we should be taking advantage of and we're not. And if I explain a little bit real quick without boring everyone, you pay taxes. I pay taxes. They go to state, to Montana. There's taxes that go to Washington, D.C., and federal taxes. That money is coming back to law enforcement, some of it. Not all of it, maybe not a lot of it. But some of it is. And when it comes back from Washington, D.C., it's going to law enforcement agencies like LA County Sheriff's Department, New York City Police Department. I think my tax money and your tax money should come back to Park County.
Amen.
So we're going to do that. We're going to write some more grants. There's a couple in particular. One of which we've used a lot, RAT grant. That gets us out to campgrounds and other Forest Service properties. I'm not sure why we're not using it right now. We have in the past, and we haven't for a few years. With that, as an example, in that particular grant, that puts deputies in places that I want to do that proactive patrol. Not just right outside of Livingston, but in Gardner, up in Jardine, Cook City, places that really get it good. So that's going to help us do that. There's another grant that's through the state. It's a STEP. I think it's sponsored by the Montana Highway Patrol. These things will help us get a little bit of money, get some more overtime without a cost, again, directly from our budget in Park County, and emergency budgets that came through Park County. So we'll get that money, we can get more deputies on the street, deputies that are looking for a little overtime, and so that will help increase our patrol as well. And you get some of your money back working for you. So we're gonna look into that and focus on that, and we'll make that happen. Another aspect of what we do in the sheriff's office that I want to really work on, and it's really important. This goes less to what we do in patrol as far as increasing our patrol, but it goes to the quality of our patrol, and that's working on our FTO program. For those that don't know what the FTO program is, if we get candidates to be deputies, we send them to the academy. It gives them the basic COP 101, here's how to be COP. They do a lot of very scenario-based training, which is good training. They come back to the department that hires them, and we put them through a training. We put them in a car with another deputy, and they get to hands-on learn and go to those same scenario calls they went to, but these are real. And they have guidance, and there's a mentorship, as well as training. That's really just a part of what the FTO training is supposed to do, though. It does train, and it's important, but it also is an evaluation process. And I always said this, we can take good people and hire them, but not all good people make good cops. So when we go through this training, we're evaluating them. We're constantly trying to work through problem areas. And I can tell you, if you ever should do a ride along, if you ever want to be a cop, you'll find out all the things that go into being a law enforcement officer. So there's a lot of areas we work with people. If they're struggling in an area, we keep working with them. If they continue to struggle, sometimes people have to be straightened out. And again, good people, but not all good people make good cops. In my time, I believe we somewhere in the realm of 50 to 60 deputies, and I don't believe we've ever straightened anyone out. And right on the top, that tells me that there's probably something wrong with the way we're running that program. And we're gonna fix that. I tried to fix it before. If I'm sheriff, we're gonna fix that. So that's it. That lends to our quality of deputies. And the better quality deputy you have, the more motivated deputy you have, the better service you're gonna have. Another one that I'm gonna focus on is our reserve deputy program. For those of you who are not familiar with reserve deputies, they are you people. They are everyday citizens that work 9-to-5 jobs, or maybe other jobs that aren't 9 to 5, run businesses, own businesses, roofers, work in sawmills, cut grass. They do all kinds of things, and they volunteer their time for the sheriff's office. Now they put on a uniform, just like a sheriff's deputy. They'll swear in. They have the full powers of a deputy sheriff. Now, because of their status and their limited time, they're not quite to the level as a regular deputy. So typically what happens is they ride in a vehicle with a full-time deputy that oversees them and helps to train them and get them up to speed. This is a manpower multiplier. So when you have someone riding your car, it's one unit running to a call instead of another unit who are 50 miles away. You have 2 people in that car. This can save us and help us in our patrol. Now they also do other things you've probably come across if you've been around during a wildfire or a flood. You've probably come across a roadblock, and a good chance that they were in the past run by a reserve deputy. So there's lots of things that we can use these deputies. Now, it's not a free program, but it's a minimal cost. When these guys and gals volunteer, they are not getting paid. Now, there's still a cost to help run the program, but on the bright side is they can actually fundraise and raise some monies for equipment that doesn't come out of taxpayer money. And it's also minimal for the impact that you get. So that's a program that's actually pretty important to me. We're gonna have that from day one on the ground. We're gonna be looking into our recruitment for that and getting deputies. Now this doesn't, I'm not gonna go on forever, but there's a lot of other concerns that people have we're going to address. Anyone that wants to talk to me about how they want to see the sheriff's office or what their concerns are in the current atmosphere, feel free to come up and talk to me. We have contact. Info's email, you can phone. Many of you in this room have my phone number. So you just give me a call. I want to end this by saying that we have a good sheriff's office. We're not recreating things. I love the sheriff's office. I love this community. This is my family, and I mean in this room and outside these walls. I've always felt that way. It's very important to me. It's very important that people are safe. For 22 years, I took that oath that I raised my hand and swore to. I took it seriously. I believed in what I was doing. I still do. And I'm coming back to continue to be there for this community. I gotta do a couple things because I'm gonna wrap this up. I know I love talking in front of people and talk about myself, but I can only do it for so long. I have special thanks our campaign manager, Kelly, and Jesse, our marketing manager. As you've seen some of the stuff they're doing and putting out, it's been pretty fantastic. Couldn't do it without them. Our campaign spiritual advisors, Jim and Betsy, also hosted this tonight, so special thanks to them. And Betsy also did a lot of the cooking and preparing and decorating. Thank you. And I have to thank them. The introduction from Jim. Mom and Dad they're very special to me. I owe them a lot outside of any of this in campaign. So I can't say thank you enough all the time for everything you've done for me. For some of our other cooks, Laura, Monica, and then I want to say thank you to my family, extended family. I've got siblings here. James here, and I'm trying to pick out where we went. Eliza and TJ, Lily and Tristan, Graham is here, and I have lots of nieces and nephews. Gus, Tanner, Galen, Cooper, Rory, Theo, Gemma, and Keith. My biggest fan, no, just my biggest nephew. And then to my family, my children, Sam, Natanya, Coulter, Henry, Anna, who's just downstairs, not feeling well. And lastly, my campaign treasurer. I also did some cooking here. My wife, I love you, Laura. She has been fantastic and is always by my side. So that's all the thank yous, and to all of you. And
I think since you're right there at the mic, a question and answer period might be relevant from the audience.
okay,
I got a couple.
sure. Give me 1 second. So I want to finish. Thank you all for being here. This wasn't going to be necessarily question and answer. It was a mingle and answer questions, but let's do it. Let's go for it.
Well, I would like to know what your thought is on the jail situation here in Fort County, and I'd like to you have been there and done that, and I would like to know what you think about that jail system.
Yeah, the jail is extremely outdated. There's a number of things that need to be worked on in the jail.
I hear a lot of compliments and a lot of bad news about that jail system.
Right, so here's what I'll tell you about the jail. It's actually made out of, for those of you who don't know, it's in the bottom, it's downstairs in the courthouse. It's in the basement. It was made from actually a brig from a ship. It was brought in piece by piece and welded in. It's a little bit outdated. 22 years ago, well, no, it'd be 26 years ago, they did a proposal for a new jail. I think it was going to cost like $5 million. And the way to pay for it was they did someone want to help me out here, a levy, a mill levy. And it went out to the public, and it was badly voted down. So without funding, and we can talk a little bit about funding from the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office has basically kind of like two budgets, and one budget is paid directly through the county. The county budgeted the salaries of the deputies. The second budget is a budget proposed that's given to the sheriff himself in the office, and he is to disperse that money and buying whatever equipment and things he needs. To revamp, well, I don't even know if you can revamp that jail, to be honest. To rebuild a jail, I think it's somewhere in the realm on the low end, $12 million. The sheriff's office annual budget, I'd have to check the paperwork, but I think is somewhere around $700,000. So a little bit of a budget shortfall to build a new jail. So what probably needs to happen, so we have some great detention officers. I'm not even sure right now exactly who the captain of the jail is, but that's something that's going to be worked out. Was Jay O'Neill did a great job to my knowledge and in my mind. Jay's not there anymore, so there's a lot of things that have to go on to fix up the jail. I have to look at what is actually feasible and what physically can be done. So yeah, there's concerns there. It's old, it's
So
outdated.
it's kind of set off like the overpass over the railroad tracks north of town, right?
That was the old jail, and they used to just handcuff people up there. No, so yeah, it's an issue that's going to have to be dealt with. I'm afraid that at some point, a lawsuit's going to force that issue sooner than someone actually does.
A bunch of people are gonna die up there in the fire. That's what's gonna happen up there.
Yeah,
And, there's people right here in this audience, one in particular, that has had an incident here recently in your jail system that was not right in my opinion and should be looked at heavily. Even the people that are working at jail need to be scrutinized big time.
sure. Yeah. So, well, that's something we would say all the way across the board in law enforcement is accountability. Whether it doesn't matter if you're a detention officer or you're a deputy or you're the sheriff. If you're not doing something right, you're not in the right place. People make mistakes, and there's levels of severity of what we do when we talk about discipline of law enforcement officers. But certainly, no, we're not going to tolerate problems in discipline. Where do we go to fix that problem? I think it's, as a sheriff, I think what the most thing I can tell you that I'd probably be able to do is I won't commit to building a new jail because that's not up to me fund-wise. However, I think it's a role of a sheriff to promote that, and maybe it's time to bring up that mill levy and go out there and promote, listen, we have to do this.
Steve,
Yeah,
I
yes,
think
go ahead.
you as running for sheriff should use that for a point in this county, because it's very important.
Yeah.
Another thing is that substation and interest up in the south, Gardner and Jardine area and stuff. I see those trucks early in the morning, I'm out here lot, and I see them trucks coming from way out there, coming back in the station here in Livingston. Something needs to be handled about that too.
Okay, come talk to me more and I get some more details. It's kind of hard for me to comment a lot on things that I haven't seen personally myself, but I'd be interested in that. That Gardner substation, by the way, sounds like is going away. So, again, I have some insights and contacts inside the sheriff's office, not like I used to. And that's going to be something we have to deal with as well. Sometimes you need those substations; they can be costly. And I talked about fiscal responsibility. That's always a tough one. There's a weight to it, and it's going to be reward versus the cost of that. So we do not have any kind of place where we're trying to get more deputies to Gardner, and then we're going to go ahead and do away with the substation there. And there's no place to do paperwork, there's no place to get a cup of coffee in January in the middle at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing open in Gardner, so there's no bathrooms even available. So we try to provide these things for deputies to be able to do their job, but we gotta be careful about not costing the taxpayers a lot of money. Now, what you kind of are getting at is there's some wasteful stuff, and yeah, that's pretty easy, we can spot that. If someone wants to spot it, you can spot it. And when you find it, you got to work to cut that out. So, but great points. Appreciate that.
One more thing out of me is, I have an issue. I have property here in the valley. Also live in Livingston. Probably the most dangerous thing in this whole county, in my opinion, is 89. And the big problem with 89 is, during the summer season when they're having concerts at the old saloon, I stand in that populace in the parking lot there, shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of people that are drinking heavily. And every damn one of them go right back down 89 at night. And where I have a real problem with that is your sheriff officers back up their security there at that spot, and half them people are being jailed for getting back in the car. And
You said half those people should be jailed for getting back in their car? Yeah, so we talked about this STEP program.
That's a dangerous, dangerous damn place. To come up there after a concert, up southbound on 89, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so you have a couple things. The STEP program, which deals with more DUI patrol. It's putting guys on overtime specifically to target that. That'd be a great place when we know these concerts are happening, is to extend that patrol. Again, I can't talk to specific deputies that maybe they're doing one thing or another, they're sent somewhere. I'm not there to say that's what the case is, but
well, I know for a fact off-duty sheriff's officers are there at those concerts as their security.
yeah.
And where they should be probably is not as much there at the old saloon, but over at that parking lot when they're driving out of the parking lot, because half the people
You did the security
have a
people.
hard time getting out of the parking lot over there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then we have to be careful where we're not using our deputies for their private security. That's why they're supposed to provide a lot of their own private security. But again, this is where I think sheriffs, and in the past maybe have, is sitting down with these businesses, talking with people in public and identifying, okay, there's a big concern there. And then sitting down with the business owners and saying, hey, work with me, how are we gonna fix this? So in those cases, I know the old saloon, just in general, a few years ago when I was still working, we were handling 3 or 4 complaints per concert. Some of those were overdose, there was all kinds of things going on. That kept those deputies busy. If we're busy doing that, we're inside those crowds, you're not doing the DUI patrol. You're not dealing with any traffic. I mean, some of it's not even DUI, but it's just traffic control. You're just not. 3 deputies, 2 of them inside, helping an overdose victim. So those are things we'll kind of look at and certainly need to be addressed. That's where having more more people on the ground, having more reserve deputies out there, using the step patrol to do more DUI and traffic patrolling. That's what that stuff's there for, and that's the one I was kind of alluding to earlier, is if we do these things, we can have a greater impact on that.
You recently had a sign in Livingston about DUI extra patrols and stuff, and I don't know if that's city and or sheriff, but you had a lit up billboard right there on
Park Street, yeah, I think that was this city.
And I honestly believe that there should be at least one of those out there during those concert times, and somebody should be paying attention to what's going on right there, because we have an issue with killing a lot of animals on that highway.
Right.
But sooner or later, we're gonna be killing a lot of people on that highway.
Well, I'll come against that. We don't want to kill any people out on our highways. But yeah, it's a good point, and you're right. And that's why I said we address those things through the bringing in that grant money. You're already paying the taxes. I don't want to raise taxes, but not that it's the sheriff doing it, but promoting the raising of taxes. I want to promote the good use of the tax money we've already paid that can go to law enforcement that we're talking about. This goes to making you safer, making the roads safer. So we can address that, and there's probably some more strategy that goes behind that. And again, when I get into the sheriff's office, that's why I want to have this door open. I want to have these conversations. I want to have town hall meetings or just meet and greets where people can come to me and tell me, hey, I feel like this isn't working well. Then I have to go and delegate authority and find out who's taking care of some of these problems. And I think all of them are able to be addressed. I just think sometimes people don't want to address them, or they get too busy with other things and they don't address them. So we'll address those in more detail. I can't give you all the answers of exactly how we would do things till I look at all the puzzle pieces that I'm working with. So I got to get in the door. We'll look at things. I definitely know that there are things that we can move puzzle pieces around, and I just think it comes to commitment.
Well, I just think that a couple of those things that I've mentioned are good campaign deals for you to talk about the people, because there's real issues here in this valley that need to be handled.
Right.
I'll sign you up to host a meet and greet at your house for him then.
So who else? Seriously, who else?
Sounds like a good idea.
Anybody else? Questions? Yes.
I guess I've got a list, but I'll wait and email it.
Perfect.
Longtime resident, rural person, lots of things. I guess what I want to say is, it really touched me when you said that there's people up there that are afraid to call. And I gradually became that person due to not feeling heard or issues. So I guess I'm sitting here thinking, I gotta keep some hope for having a department, law enforcement that I can communicate with. And I would feel comfortable, like I can live in peace in my home. Thank you.
Yeah. It's I think something that doesn't get talked about enough in law enforcement. There's an aspect of law enforcement that is, I think the easy ones are to pick out. You know, we think about cops arresting people. Think about cops writing tickets. You're supposed to be brave. You're supposed to be courageous. You're supposed to be tough. And I rarely see a problem with that. Very, very rarely see a problem with that with officers. And I think what gets lost is that you're supposed to be patient, compassionate, and empathetic. And it's really how you get things done. And there's a whole side of public safety that deputies do more than arresting people that require those skills and traits. Working with DFS, working with the Battered Women's Shelter, working with other organizations, working with the mental health. We spent so much time in Park County transporting and working with mental health. And you throw all that other stuff out that cops already are or get really good at doing, and we miss that. And it is true, going to being proactive patrol, I don't mean going out and finding more speeders, although that's part of it. You speed, you might get a ticket. You might not, but you might. But I'm talking about being proactive and seeing people. Driving in the summertime with your window down, saying hi to people, and people coming up and giving you information about crime, or people coming up to you telling you about a problem they're having. And there is no problem. Behind closed doors, you get a couple of cops here and they'll joke and say, oh, I told that person, there's nothing I can do about that. Because there are things that are not in our realm as law enforcement officers. But when I was training deputies, I would always tell them, there's no call that you can't help someone. And that means you can tell them, this is a civil matter, but here's where you should go. This is who you should talk to. And that points someone into the right direction of just getting help rather than just shutting the door and leaving and they don't know what to do. And like I said, then they're left with, well, don't call the police. Call us. We'll figure out. If that's not in our realm to work on, or within our legal right to be involved in, then we will point you in the right direction. There's all kinds of phone numbers and cards I can hand out on a given day that tells someone where they need to go to get help. Instead of just not helping someone because it's not my problem. I never did my job that way, and I'm not going to let any deputies do their job that way.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Anyone else? Real quick? Am I supposed to yell? I should be yell vote. Let me go do that. Yes, another question.
Just one little comment. Officers, police officers and sheriffs and all of law enforcement used to be known as peace officers. Now they're known as law enforcement. We need to get back that perspective, especially with the children and whatnot growing up, that they are peace officers. They're there to bring peace, to help. And I'm afraid that's been lost someplace over the last couple of years.
We're known by a lot of names, and they reflect a lot of different perspectives on how we do our job. Law enforcement they're all tied together, but law enforcement is that part where we enforce the law.
Right.
Peace officers is where we keep the peace. Public safety officer is where we just provide the public with different safety needs. EMT, we have deputies that are EMTs. So it's broad. And yes, to your point, peace officer standardized testing is what Montana still calls it. We are peace officers. So thank you. Okay.
Round of applause for So that should give you a little snippet of what he's going to do for us, and I really feel that, Steve is a man of his word and what he's already done for us. So now what we need to do is ask how all of you can help, again, hosting something in your home. One of the things that I know, this is probably primarily, obviously, Paradise Valley here, we need, some people to help us out in Gardner, Cook City, Jardine, especially the Shields Valley, Clyde Park, Wilsall. So if you guys have connections of people in any of those areas, please reach out to us so that we can set up, some house parties, a meet and greet up there in the north part of the county, because I don't want to neglect that, because that's where my family homesteaded from. So if you also want to sign up, we've got some sign-up sheets over here. I promise we won't spam you, but we need to know if you are willing to put up a sign in your yard. If you have a neighbor that would love to put up a sign in your yard. If you could tell 5 people that when you leave here tonight why you were here and what you learned about Steve and what he's going to do for us. And one of the fun things, since you've got the camera, I'll do it for you. If everybody would take out their phones and make sure, I'm really being serious about taking out phones. It's not church. What, you don't want to take out the phones?
No, it's fine.
Oh.
You can take a photo with Steve.
Oh yeah, take a photo with Steve tonight. Post it on your own page. Post it on Steve's page. Let's get this out there, because Jesse is amazing with what he can do in exposing a lot of this and getting Steve out there in front of people. The reviews have already been totally phenomenal, and there was a lot of people that actually reached out tonight. that couldn't be here for various reasons, which it is hard, and we will be doing some things in town, and we want to get things in each one of the communities here. So if you're one of those people that just wants to host something, and we can help you set it up, put it together, it's not complicated, you don't have to serve a complete taco bar, like our overachieving Vince family. That was amazing, so I won't take back anything like that. But yeah, we need somebody like Steve, you know, there, and again, when you're coming up with these questions, one of the things that I really focused on with going and dealing with our lovely city council meetings is offer solutions. You know, if you've got issues or problems that you're seeing out there, come up with a solution. You know, say, hey Steve, what about this? Could we help you set something up like this? Those are the things that we need. That's how we're gonna improve Livingston and Park County, is by coming up with solutions and then working together for them. So, you know, come up with those things for Steve, because that's what he needs. I mean, I know I'm gonna make this as a joke, we probably shouldn't record this, but I'm just thinking that maybe when the wellness center flops, that we could turn that into the jail. I didn't really say that out loud.
Exactly.
But you can tell where I feel about that, so. We are gonna pass the bucket.
So just know that on Facebook, what was it? I think it was 34 likes on the post. Made that post reach, I think we were at 7,500 people. So it's powerful.
It is very powerful,
If
yes.
you just want to support that way, that's great too.
Yeah. We're gonna pass the bucket so you can do a cash donation if you write out checks, because obviously campaigns are not cheap. Jesse and I, just so you know, are volunteering our time for this. That's how much we believe in this, you know, for them. But if you do make checks out, make them out to Steve Voss for Park County Sheriff. Laura is the treasurer because I refuse to take care of all that stuff and do all this too. So if you guys want to give a testimony about your relationship or why you think Steve would make a good sheriff, reach out to Jesse. You can even do that tonight before you leave. We can have you pull aside somewhere and do that. And not to completely promote all of our stuff, but just so you guys know, if you need to reach out to Steve and you're in town, our new office is literally across the street from the courthouse. So if you see the Montana Legacy and our Big Sky Public Affairs or our Rustic Elegance Montana signs out there, that's where our office is now. And so we'll have yard signs probably there for people to pick up. So if you sign up on the sign-up sheets tonight, be sure to mark on there and we'll get you a sign as soon as we have them ready. We'll have different sizes of things like that too. But again, I just really want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Again, $5, $20, $500, $5,000, actually can we go up to $470 per person? We'll max it out. There's other ways though that you guys can encourage other people, so we just ask that you share socially, you know, for us. That helps us a lot too. Don't hesitate if you've got questions, reach out to Laura, Jesse, myself, Betsy. You know, we've got a great team, and I know we're gonna have, you know, some of the other family out here helping with everything. So again, we wanna make this successful. I have great confidence in everybody helping us out and getting us to the finish line with all of this. So I know we're already making the competition nervous, so it's kind of fun. So yes. And then, right. And then if anybody has questions on what they can do when they leave here tonight, I did print out some of these what are called like next steps, because a lot of times people walk away from here and go, well, I don't know how I can help Steve. This is just some things that you can help us out with. They're not time consuming and they're not scary or anything like that. But you know, if you know somebody you can call, you know, door knock with us a little bit, because some of these areas that we need to get Steve's name out to are pretty rural. And I know doing city campaigns is a lot easier to go door to door and hang out flyers and do postcards and things like that. But we've got to reach the rural outside people here. So if we can get some help, and we'll be coordinating some things to be out and doing that too, so you're not out there alone as well. So if anybody has questions, let us know. Yeah, there's sign-up sheets over there. There's cookies over there. So don't anybody leave without, you know, something extra in their hand or pocket. Nobody should go home hungry.
Yeah, don't go home hungry.
Yeah, there's leftovers. Does anybody else have any questions about the campaign that I could answer immediately? If not, we'll give Steve another round of applause.
Let's check this out. Good for you, Matt. You're doing really good, yeah. You're really good. So much. She's taller than me now. She's got That's here. I know. Yeah? There's lots of other things. Let us know what to do. You'll let us know. Whatever you guys do, get. Yeah. It's November, right? November's the, we got it done. Yeah. We need to get some, we gotta get this out, we need to get it out.